The episode of 33 North 96 West that you are about to hear or see is actually the second in a two-part episode. We were just having so much fun when we were recording this conversation that we talked for almost 2 hours. So, of course, you're welcome to just tune into this episode as a standalone, or if you would like, we recommend clicking back to the previous episode and listening to that one first, so that you get the benefit of the full conversation. Okay, here we go.
I want my energy always to be giving you, each individual, permission to also honor your own power of choice, your own free will,
Yes.
your own energy.
Yes. Yes. That is exactly yes. Thank you, Terri. Yeah. And we are living in a time where the potential for lower frequency, dense stuff is bigger than ever. But what that means is that we are also living in a time where the opposite energy is available.
Yes.
Because,
Contrast.
yes. And I'm going to speak to the necessary equilibrium of energy in the cosmos. I mean, there is a cosmic justice, a cosmic balance that's going on here. And as we're moving toward this this evolutionary time, there's this increasing intensity of these two kind of polarities of this spectrum. Both are real. People are choosing both, and both experiences are real for different people. The question is exactly what you said. Like, which one are you empowered to choose? Make your choice, own it, line up with it. And everyone must honor everyone else. Like,
Yes.
At the very end of the day, like, honor and allow. Don't push against other people's choices. Just, at least for our part, I think, Terri, you and I, we want everyone to know that they have a choice. And I'm going to hope, and I'm going to pray, and I'm going to send all the positive energy and love that I can muster toward everyone. And I hope that they all make the choice to move in the direction of the light, to move to the upper frequencies. I hope that. I'm going to continue to hope that. That's how I'm designed. But if you don't, that's okay too.
Intention.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I may have lost it, but it was so beautiful what you said. I wanted to also kind of put that reminder out that we alluded to earlier, is that when you were talking about, choosing each day, getting up and choosing to just, be nice.
Mm-hmm.
If you behave in a way or react, you have a reactionary behavior that you are not pleased with, you think, wow, that's really not the choice I think I really wanted to make or would desire to make. It's okay.
It's okay. Be easy.
It is okay. Yes.
This also applies to your relationship with yourself.
Yes.
You may be graceful with yourself as well, and that's important.
Absolutely. So as you were saying, the honoring of other people's choices is also honor, even if you made a choice in a moment that would not be the choice you would desire to make or the most optimal for you. Again, you still need to honor that you made that choice.
Yeah.
You had that experience, and you can do it differently next time.
Yeah.
And not sabotaging self and overanalyzing self and completely annihilating, your self-esteem and things like that. I mean, you can completely annihilate yourself in that aspect, beating yourself up, sabotaging yourself. And that, again, is also a very dense experience. Those are very dense energies that we've been exposed to, we've experienced, we've been taught, conditioned, and programmed. So yes, it's a template, a pattern, if you will, that you can easily go back to because you know it. Even if it's uncomfortable for you, it's familiar.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to go back to that when you kind of feel pushed, if you will, which a lot of times what I was sharing earlier is I wasn't being pushed. it was my own perspective that I might be, or that
Mm-hmm.
my fear that I might be, rather than, wait a minute, I can stand in my own sovereignty and my own power and my own truth without hurting others. I don't have to be harmful about it. I don't have to attack. I don't have to judge. I don't have to any of that. I can just be in that space, and it automatically, majority of the time, if you're truly in that space and not just thinking about it, but if you really can be in that space of, okay, I am this container of energy, and this is what I choose, how I choose to experience this, if you will. I just observe daily other people moving into, like, it's almost like you see their shoulders totally drop down. They take a deep breath, and they're just relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just relaxed.
And going back to the scenario in the convenience store, because that's a good one. So the only way that they actually could have had any power over you is if you gave it to them.
Yes.
And let's play this out a little bit further. Let's say whatever the situation was that they were asking you about got to the point where they actually wanted you to leave. The path of least resistance is just to flow right out of there.
Yeah.
I find it so strange sometimes when people need to confront me with something, and they make it so incredibly complicated. At the end of the day, I don't want to be anywhere where I'm not wanted. So, okay, I'll go to the convenience store across the street and get my pretzels.
Yeah. Yes. And if you don't drop into that defense mode,
reactive.
You can still smile and say, "Oh, thank you. Have a great day," and move on.
Yeah, just let it flow right in and out of your field, your circle of influence. It came in, it went out. You probably sent it out in a little bit higher state than it came in, but if not, that's okay too. That's not your
sure.
Work. Yeah. So
it's just remembering that, okay, so we are in a society of such a knee-jerk reaction. This goes for eons and eons, centuries. This has been that fight or flight, that survival mode. And we are here consciously changing that.
Yeah. Yep. I think that lower density, lower vibrational stuff isn't going to be able to abide in the future we're creating. And that's why we're working through it now. We're collectively transmuting it so we can let it go.
Yes, we are. And I just kind of heard a phrase or some words pop in that I talked to this yesterday on a video I made. So I just want to express, this is not coming from a place of righteousness. It's not about we are more self-righteous than anyone else. And I know we've alluded to this, but just to succinctly say it, communicate it. This isn't about I am the chosen one, or you are the chosen one, or
if I'm chosen, then everyone is chosen. If this is available to me, it's available to everyone.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And these are invitations to expand your conscious awareness to the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, for many, many, many years, suppress and hold back my words. I'm actually pointing to my mouth. I would not express it. I would not say so much of what was moving through me. I would not express my truth. I would not express my own sovereignty and power of choice and free will, because it was perceived as, oh, well, she's so self-righteous. She thinks she's some guru or some whatever.
So all that energy got trapped up inside you until the point where you're like, I'm not going to hold all this in me anymore.
Exactly. Yep. And the more I expressed it, the more others expressed it.
Yeah.
The more I gave myself permission to honor me, the more others gave themselves permission to honor them. And that is how we expand consciousness. That right there, it's that exchange of honor and respect for self and others.
Yes.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
And I love witnessing it every day. And sometimes maybe, honestly, maybe my energy, going back to energy management of my container, if my energy is not in the space that I would choose it to be in, if I'm going to be out engaging in society, I don't go engage in society. I
Yeah.
have that choice to make too. I
Yep.
don't have to force and push myself to put an energy out that I don't really choose to put out.
No.
What that means is I am moving through something myself, and I need to see it. I need to feel it. I need to experience it. I need to gain insight from it and wisdom from it, not deflect it.
Yes.
So I get to make that choice too. Okay, today I'm going to stay in my little container
Yep.
and I'm going to do whatever it is, whether it's in an individual moment or a whole day or weeks or months or whatever. We do have that choice to be self-responsible with our energy and not necessarily leak it out, if you will, if it's not what we are choosing
Yes.
to share. But this also brings up a very real life question. Are we in situations? Are there times we are in environments or situations where we don't feel we are able to do that, where we feel a little out of control, where we feel like we are putting out an energy that we don't even feel like aligns with us? Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
We do, and we are human. But again, we get to make that choice, get to make that conscious choice.
And once you're aware, then you know it when it's happening.
Yes, absolutely. And it still can happen. You can still have these eruptions of energy. You can have this contained, it's almost like, I don't say almost like, I guess it is. This energy container that you are is very semi-permeable.
Yeah.
Now, I think I'm using the wrong scientific phrase. Hang on.
Well, I'm like envisioning a cell membrane with like osmosis and
yes,
like that's what you've got my mind conjuring up as images.
That's what I'm envisioning.
The permeability of the membrane.
I'm not articulating it well, but yes, the permeability. We'll just use that. It does. The energy is within me and without me, and so is your energy as well. I mean, so there's this constant energy exchange.
Yeah.
And so many of the teachings for so long were, well, if you aren't going out into the world and having these experiences and sharing your energetic imprint, then you're hiding, you're repressing, you're, all of that. Yes, that is a choice we can make. But oftentimes what I'm speaking to is really just about being more responsible with your energy and saying, okay, I'm not hiding, don't choose to have the perspective that I'm hiding from the world. If I am curled up on my couch in blankets and scarves and having warm drinks and chocolate or whatever it is I indulge in when I am going deep within, for me, it's a deliberate decision. It's a deliberate choice to take care of me first, because the last thing I need to do is go and put that on everybody else. So
yes, because when you know better, then you can do better. It's not avoidance. And actually, I'm going to pat myself on the back, and also at the same time, I'll use a recent real world example where I was having a conversation with some friends, potential colleagues, and I was just very honest and raw and said, right now, I have nothing to offer you because I'm in this particular place on this particular subject, and I can't be here with you in the way that I want to. Mm-hmm. Well, that level of transparency and honesty disarmed the whole situation.
Yes.
Because they could feel it was true. And it may not always be true. I was just saying, right now, I'm going to honor you by telling you that I can't meet you in the place you're asking me to.
Yes.
This isn't heaven on earth yet. We are all living these contrasting experiences, and that's kind of the nature of the game. And I'm using the word game deliberately. I mean, at some levels, you kind of start to realize that we're attaching all the seriousness to everything. This life experience is supposed to be adventurous. It's supposed to be fun. we're supposed to bump up against all these things so that we can discern and sift and sort and decide and grow and learn and transcend. I mean, there's a natural evolutionary process that we're all experiencing individually and collectively. And you know what I think you and I are suggesting, Terri, is that once you just kind of understand the nature of the construct, the nature of the matrix, a whole other dimension of possibilities opens up to you, and then as a result of that, opens up to us. Because we're making the matrix, and then we're living in it, and then we're revising it, and it's evolving as we're evolving.
Yes, this is a pretty esoteric thing to say. But it was a recent conversation between my husband and I that I felt was really powerful. And so I'll share it and we can include it here or discuss it another time, but it ties to what you just said, is that I was going through the questions of, okay, I've used a phrase for the last year and a half of simulation. I've talked about that often because of an experience I had under heavy sedation, a coma, if you will, as it's called. I had some really strong experiences, and I was calling it a simulation. And then I was talking about how I made the choice and exercised free will, even within that space, to create a separate simulation. Okay, so that's a little background to where I'm going with this. And I'm not trying to go on a tangent, but just to say, it goes back to earlier when I said there are different collective consciousnesses that feed into the overall, if you will, collective consciousness. So we do have a choice point of what energies and frequencies we
attune to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here holding my hand at my heart going, what is that word? Attune to. But having said that, this was just throwing this out for maybe future conversation. But I was asking, okay, so you have the matrix and then you have these different simulations. Like, how does this all fit together? That's a very generic way to rephrase what I was asking, because I was actually asking extremely articulate, very specific questions to come to an understanding of this. And I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly how it was worded, but Tim was saying that a perspective is that, that he has or has considered, is that when you have a group, if you will, a collective that is having a specific set of energies, thoughts, that type of thing. You can call it an agenda, a purpose, whatever you want to call it. But when there is energy going towards that, that can be a simulation. So you're creating a simulated reality. And then when it has received enough energy, if you will, towards that, it becomes part of the matrix. My point in bringing this up without going too tangential or too deep is that there really are that many. It's like the collection of energies are infinite as well, because it is energy and it's ever moving. So it's how these energies group together.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to put it. It's how these energies group together. And what I envision, and I don't mean just in the future, even in the now, what I see truly, what I observe, and the way I'm going to try to translate what I observe of what we've discussed is that talking about the new way or the new world or the new, just whatever you want to put behind that word new, that has been the transmutation and the shifting through the various templates and paradigms and timelines and so on, is that all of these, it's all one. It's all of source. All of these are a reality. All of these are real. But again, it comes back to me as an individual. What can I choose to participate in?
Yes.
Or be a part of? I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying I choose for it to not be a part of my world.
Yes.
My experience.
Yes. Yes, source is in all of it.
Yes, source is in all of it.
And
It is not separate.
These idea structures, these belief structures that become these matrices that we're talking about, these predominant patterns of thought and behavior become first conceptual idea structures, and then they become manifest in our physical reality.
Yes.
And we're looking across a physical reality now that is the result of our past consciousness, our past thoughts, our past emotional system, our past behavior. And there's like a reckoning, like, here's what we've done, here's what we've made. But if we understand how the process works, then we begin to realize that we are now, by virtue of our attention, our energy, our focus, inviting the next thing to come. Like, are we focusing on the future matrix, the future structure, the future systems, the future reality that we're wanting? I think there's a great Alice Walker, the author Alice Walker. There's a great quote that I'm going to get close when I say it, but it's not going to be right on. But it's something like, look at the present you are creating. It should look like the future you are wanting.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yes. Yes.
Because this is a phenomenon that's real. As each of us individually comes to an awareness of our own manifestational power, our own energy emanation, we are calling a future to us. And the more we individually become aligned, you're going to fall into a fractal of other people who are aligned in that same way to the future that you're wanting to conjure together. So when you look at this on a planetary scale, let's say 200,000 people are focused on conjuring up thought forms of demons. But 6,780,000,000 people are focusing on bringing heaven into manifest form on earth.
Yeah.
Well, what is the predominant energy?
Yes. Yes.
And at the end of the day, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, but one or two or three or a handful of people who are powerfully focused and aligned have as much influence as 1,000,000 people who aren't. I think there's an Abraham Hicks quote in there somewhere. Maybe she says it over and over again, something to that effect. Like, once you become like fully embodied, fully aware, fully focused, you make a difference. What kind of difference do you want to make?
Absolutely. And that's actually where my thoughts were going as well, what you just addressed. That definitely aligns with a thought I was having, an invitation for the listeners, if you will, is that just I invite you to not ever believe or think or adopt the concept that you alone cannot do anything.
Thank you.
That's what was moving through me when you were speaking that, because it's so easy to get into that programming, that template of, well, I'm only one person. What can I do? I'm just going to exist, and I'm just going to keep moving through life my way. And I know I'm only one person. I know that without the power of many, there's nothing I can do. And that is not truth. No. It is not truth.
You just gave me chill bumps.
I gave myself chill bumps too. I'm glad, because when these things move through me, it's with such passion, it's with such fervor that it just has to be said, because that is one of the ways things move through me are invitations. That's the way I phrase them. I always tell people these are invitations, not expectations. I have no expectations of you. I have invitations for you.
Yes.
Things to consider.
Yeah. This whole series, 33 North, 96 West, is just one idea expressed after another for everyone's consideration, everyone who may ever come in contact with it or hear it. Consider Absolutely. It and then decide what's right for you. Does it resonate or doesn't it? How much so? You are the arbiter of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in our evolution, of expanding consciousness and awareness and moving more and more into the aspect of source that we are, that will change, that will evolve. What is that? Trying to get the word back. What resonates and what doesn't is what I'm trying to say. It's going to, again, it's energy.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't hold energy as static, if we don't hold a belief as static, if we don't hold a behavior as static, if we recognize it as all energy and is all dynamic, then that can change in any given moment. And that is okay. And that is my invitation to you, to allow that.
Yes.
Something I maybe adopted in my life for so long, this happens to me every reiteration, if you will, of me, is that a word that can be used is transcend. We can come to a place we transcend something that used to be such a part of our life.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it right or wrong. It was never wrong, and now it was never right. Now it's wrong. It just was where it was what resonated for me in that moment. And then I can have an experience it can be one experience, a set of experiences, an observation. It can come in different forms, but basically it is an experience that you have to where you are you receive that invitation from the universe to reevaluate that and to look at that and say, wait, I don't really resonate with this right now. Or, oh, I really do resonate with this now, and I didn't before. So it is dynamic, and it's just that invitation is not a one-time invitation. It's a continuous invitation to allow the energy to be dynamic and allow yourself to be dynamic as energy.
Absolutely. And I'll say the same thing in a slightly different way in case it reaches a different person in a slightly different way. Give yourself permission to loosen your attachments with regards to your expectations of who and what you are, and the expectations you have for the people around you and who and what they are, and your codependence on the energetic environment around you. Like, don't be resistant to anything. Don't push against, or try not to push against. Like, resistance is not serving you, but instead give yourself permission to sort of gently just loosen the grip. And I know what the grip feels like. Like, I think I said in a previous episode, I spent a tremendous amount of energy and a good chunk of my life like trying to figure out who I needed to be and be it in order to avoid pain or discomfort or anything pushing back against me from my, like, I wanted to be good and do good. And, at a certain point, like I think I said I had the wonderful experience of having my ego annihilated. Like, it seems like everything in my environment that I had attached or I was clinging on to, I was presented with the opportunity to release it and to loosen my attachments to it. And I had trouble with that at first, like many do, but then I realized if I surrender and allow, I started to feel more and more free, lighter and lighter, more and more open to possibilities, to the magic of our experience, to the real nature of things that's underlying all of this. Like, if you're so attached to specific belief structures, specific ideas of who you are, specific ideas of what people are supposed to think about you, all of those things are like a filter that precludes you from other possibilities. Like, if you're so tied to those kinds of specific things, like, you are actually limiting the universe in giving you so much more. Like what's possible outside of your expectations.
Stated so beautifully, and absolute truth and resonance for me. And Yeah, I mean, like, it goes back to what we said, our invitation to really know yourself, learn who you are, know yourself. I'm going to rephrase that, learn who you are. Remember who you are.
Yeah.
Because you've been conditioned and programmed that it's somebody entirely different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, remembering who you are and honoring that and respecting that it really does bring, you use that word magic. It brings absolute magic into your world. The experiences that you have, of course, excite you to have more of those and more of those, to just, in other words, not coming from lack, because it is infinite, but just saying, yes, this is what I choose.
Yeah.
This is, and a different way I could put that is choose you.
Yeah.
Choose you, because everyone else is always going to see you through their own perspective, their own filter, their own lens.
Yeah. And you're doing that too.
And you are doing that too.
And you have the right and they have the right.
Yes. But, rather than attaching to what that is, because no matter how much I understand human dynamics and the psyche and all of that, emotions, psychology, no matter how much you learn about that in research, you still are going to always have that experience through your own perspective and your own lens, because you are unique and you're here to be that. You're here to express source through the uniqueness that you are. So
and
when you don't
only
allow
you can
yourself,
do it. Only you can.
Only you can. That's what I was just going to say. When you don't allow yourself to do that and be that, then there's no one else that can.
And you're robbing all the rest of us from
Yes.
having the experience of you.
Yes.
Please don't rob us.
Please don't. We want to have the experience of you, that you are here. I say we, I'm speaking for us. But yes, I mean, that is that invitation we discussed, that to the essence. I mean, that word has really come up for me the last couple years, year and a half, couple years, is that the essence of you. Like, no one else has that. No one else can share your essence, no matter how hard they try. Only you.
And you are not, no matter how hard you try, ever going to be able to become that external figure that you look up to. Like that,
Yes.
This dynamic goes in every direction. Like,
Yeah.
you, of course, admire people. Of course, learn about people and study people. But at the end of the day, the goal of all of that is just so that you can integrate, as Terri said earlier, bring that energy through your energetic body, your circle of influence, chew on it, percolate about it, discern whether or not part of it or all of it is right for you, and then release it. It's this very, I think you used the word earlier, deliberate, which I loved. I perked up when you used that word. But it's not deliberate in a sense that there's a tremendous amount of effort being exerted, or that it's really hard. It's simply a matter of, as you said, I think a little later, just understanding that you are responsible, and that you may be deliberate, and that you can. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And no one is excluded from this. Like, everybody can do this. Doesn't matter what's happened to you. It doesn't matter what your story is so far. It doesn't matter what you think about where you came from. It doesn't matter what you have the capacity to transcend any of those kinds of structures and limitations in order to come closer and closer to the truth of who you really are. And this is a journey that, think about this. Like, we think about doing spiritual work during the course of a lifetime. Like, what if you have, from a higher soul level, you have projects that have been going on for several lifetimes? Like, What if you have one that's been going on for 100 lifetimes, or you're right in the middle of it? Like this is lifetime 50 of a project that's going to take 100, and you have 50 more lifetimes to contemplate a particular idea or work on a particular project. Like, put this in the grand scheme of the concept of your energy that again started at the beginning of space and time. Like the energy that is now in you, you can trace that all the way back. All the way back. In the lunch you're about to eat, the food that you're taking into your body that's becoming part of you, well, that lettuce came from a plant in the ground that got some memories from the soil, and the soil came from the explosion of a star. I mean, it doesn't matter how you approach it. Like the energy that is in you right now in this moment emanated from the beginning of space and time. And you carry with you all kinds of ideas and memory signatures and intentions and concepts and theories, and it's all this like magnificent adventure, and from my perspective tremendously intelligent, and everything is on purpose.
I love again that you just so eloquently expressed what something in to simplify in terms was moving through me. The living deliberately comes from Henry David Thoreau.
Oh, yeah.
In Walden Pond.
Yeah.
And I often say living purposefully. And you just said everything is on purpose.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do is kind of give some real, just to close, feel like it's a great time to close out this lovely episode. I wanted to just for a moment talk about you mentioned food, for example, is where my mind was going, is mention some really simple, basic ways of living deliberately, living on purpose, purposefully. And it can start with your food. It can start with you deliberately being mindful and aware as you prepare your food, as you take in your food, as you digest your food. It can be walking outside each day with deliberation, looking at the sun, observing all that it does, watching the ecosystem around you. Even choosing your clothes for the day. It's really about being mindful and having an honor for all of that.
Yeah.
Through honoring yourself. So in other words, don't choose something to eat that you just really don't want, or that your body says, I really don't want that. Don't just go through the motions is what I'm saying. My invitation is be so mindful of the choices you're making in everyday simple decisions. And that's how this really grows and expands to you becoming aware of it in every aspect. It's even going to the market. Today I think I'm going to go this route. I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to go do that. Or I'm going to walk today, or I'm going to whatever. It's being mindful of these choices that you make. And when you're mindful of them, that just becomes your natural state.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll actually use myself as an example. I went to the supermarket yesterday, and I'm pretty good about being mindful of how I nourish my physical body. And I'm not going to say but, I'm going to say and. So yesterday, I nourished myself with a Three Musketeers bar as I left the Walmart checkout line, and I enjoyed every bite. It was so good, and it nourished all the cells of my physical body. And that's okay. Like, more important than any of the specifics of how this way of being manifests in the world is your attitude about it. Like,
yes,
you are the one who assigns the meaning, the significance to everything you experience.
Yes.
So just choose the meaning and the significance that serves you best in each moment.
It's so yummy and delicious that you use that example, because you made the choice to have this yummy, ooey gooey nugget and chocolate delight, and you took it in with delight, with, oh wow, I savored every bite and every moment. you weren't self-sabotaging and criticizing of your decision.
No.
That changes the entire energy of it right there. And that is such a beautiful example. And I like that you gave that specific example, because I will say the more I have done this in my life, the less it's quote that path of least resistance, the less resistance. For example, if I were to take on the energy of all the things that was going to do to my body that were not optimal for me, then that's what's going to happen. I'm going to experience that. But if I put the energy into that of it's just this divine experience, that's what I'm going to experience. So that is a beautiful example, and to me a great way to kind of to tie up what we've discussed today is taking these invitations, if you will, that we put out there, these things to consider, these ideas, these concepts, these theories, which may just feel like ideas, concepts, and theories, but bring them into you and start applying them to just everyday life and see the magic that unfolds. You really do have that ability and that choice.
Yeah.
And what it does is it starts untangling, unbinding the conditioning and programming that has held your container in such a tight space.
Yeah. So because I'm feeling maybe a little bit frisky right now in terms of where our conversation has gone, I know what I'd like to say to leave us for this episode for my part, which is another quote by a brilliant African-American novelist, Toni Morrison. I don't know why I quoted Alice Walker earlier. Now I'm on Toni Morrison. If you want to fly, you got to give up that shit that weighs you down.
Drop that load of weight.
Just give it up. All right, shall we leave it there until next time?
I think that would be great. I suddenly have a strobe light effect going off in my lights in here. So apparently we've got some good energy going on. We're moving a lot of energy here. That's interesting. So we're going to close with the strobe light and lighting up the world. Here we go.
All right. Thank you, Terri. And thank you to everyone who joined us for this episode.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. And until next time.
All right. See you next time. Ciao. Terri and I are so grateful that you joined us for this episode of 33 North, 96 West. And we wanted to extend an invitation to you. If you enjoyed this content, if you found it inspiring or provocative or at least interesting, we would appreciate it if you would hit that like button and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for future content. And above all, please share with anyone, any friends or family that you feel may benefit from being a part of these kinds of conversations. Many blessings to you and love and light on your journey, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.